Hey weebs, how's it going? Liam here. Hope you're all having a pretty decent April so far. I know I am, because school's over and my will to live has returned, so that's cool. We're still on our temporary hiatus. We should be back sometime in May. Not to the regular one episode a week, but we'll be back nonetheless. In the meantime, I have had this little school assignment I've been sitting on for a while, so I thought I'd throw it up for you. In one of my classes, I had to do a persuasive speech, and me being me, my speech was about why you should watch the original Ghost in the Shell instead of going to see the new one. And then I did the presentation 2 days before the new one released. So if you're getting a little tired of all the Ghost in the Shell nonsense, sorry, but you don't have to listen to this. And this is just the audio from my presentation, and the video you might be able to find somewhere on YouTube. We'll see. So yeah, have a listen if you like. Thanks for checking in as always. And feel free to reach out to us on My Anime List or Facebook if you have any comments or questions or any of that kind of stuff. Alright, enjoy. Oh, and my recording abilities for the presentation were a little limited, so please excuse the less than great audio quality. Okay, hello everybody, my name is Liam, and today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite movies, Ghost in the Shell from 1995. Some of you may know that there's a live-action adaptation of this releasing this Friday. So today we're going to talk about why you should watch the original one and maybe you shouldn't go see the new one. So, just a brief outline of what we're doing today. I'll state my thesis, I'll give a brief rundown of the franchise, because it's a little complicated. We'll talk about what makes the original movie so good. We'll do a couple comparisons of the original movie with what we've seen from the live-action movie so far. Then I'll talk a little bit about spending your money and value. So, why should you watch Ghost in the Shell? It's an amazing movie that's still relevant after being released over 25 years ago. And your time and money will be better spent watching the original instead of the live-action adaptation, even though I haven't seen it yet. Just trust me on this one. And when we compare the released footage of the upcoming adaptation with the original, there's a lot of things that indicate that it just won't have the same great tone and atmosphere. So the original Ghost in the Shell property came out in 1989, written by Masamune Shirow. And it was first published in English in 1995 when the big hit, the movie, came out, directed by Mamoru Oshii. The original story was heavily condensed so it could fit within that 90-minute time frame, and a lot of the comic elements were removed so it could have a more serious and philosophical tone. After the success of the first movie, we had a few spin-offs. Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex was a separate adaptation of the manga that ran for 2 seasons. And we had Ghost in the Shell Innocence, which was a direct sequel to the movie, and Ghost in the Shell Arise, which is a prequel. I made it one of the goals for the new year to watch all of these before the live-action one came out, and I did. And I don't regret it, they're all great. First one's still my favorite, though. So what makes the original one so great, exactly? It has a lot of tone and themes present in it that lead to a lot of interesting discussions. Like, the main villain is a human manufactured AI that claims to be a sentient being. Is that possible? His argument is that the DNA that makes up humans is just another form of code, so what's there to say that he can't claim to be a sentient being? And the protagonist, Motoko Kusanagi, is a police officer with an entirely cybernetic body. Is having an entirely cybernetic body mean that you aren't entirely human, even if her consciousness or soul, that they refer to as a ghost, is human? And of course I could talk about this for hours, but I only have so much time. And it's all framed with amazing art direction and a truly haunting soundtrack. The most notable influence that Ghost in the Shell had on North American properties was The Matrix. The Major's cybernetic body has plugs in the back of her neck that she uses to interface with computer or communication devices. And of course, in the Matrix, they have plugs in the back of their necks that they use to plug into the Matrix. And the opening titles of Ghost in the Shell has this fancy digital green text that flashes across before the title of the name appears. And of course, the Matrix reuses that in their own titles, as well as just representations of the Matrix. So I'm going to show you a very brief clip from the original. I chose this clip specifically because Paramount has released a minute clip of their recreation of this scene. So we're just going to go from one to the other. Go straight into the second one, just so it's for sure.
Out of ammo.
Alright, well that's still fresh. We're gonna go straight to the live action one. Motoko Kusanagi is played by Scarlett Johansson, by the way. We don't have time to get into the controversy of that topic. There's a lot of heated debate over that over the last 8 months, basically. Alright, they added some wind chimes and stuff. Not super into that. I feel like the new version has really just kind of dumbed it down for the audience. It's lost the important silent moments, and the violence just isn't as impactful, and just the original mood of the movie, the first movie, is all lost, and that's what makes it great. So what we're left with is a scene that has too many visual and audio elements going on at once. And we can see the same thing happening in some screenshots of my copy of the movie that I took. There were screenshots of one of the trailers on YouTube. We're going from what was stylishly simple, that still looks great, like 26 years later, replaced with flashy magic. So an important question to consider as well is, who's the target audience? With a name like Ghost in the Shell, the first people whose attention you're going to grab is people who are fans of the original franchise, like me, and most of us are not super excited about it so far. So if it's people who are fans of The Matrix, who are unfamiliar with this property, or newcomers to the sci-fi cyberpunk genre, they might have a bit more of a chance, but there's no guarantee. When I saw this magazine cover where it was saying Ghost in the Shell is the next-gen Matrix, it really wrestled my jimmies. It's just like, The Matrix was a took so much from Ghost in the Shell, and now you're calling this new Ghost in the Shell the next gen Matrix. Yeah, it's not cool. To a more simple reason as to why you should watch the original one first. We all know how expensive it is to go to the movies. So you're going with a friend or a date, 2 tickets will be $26, and you gotta buy some extremely overpriced popcorn and drinks, at least $20 there. But if you rent it on iTunes or somewhere else online, the original only cost you $5. And allowing yourself a wide budget for snacks, you can eat whatever you want, you're at home, you're gonna save so much money. It's less than half the cost. With all that being said, some of you do know that I have a podcast about anime with 4 of my friends. And we have a small group of dedicated listeners, and as a thank you to my listeners, we're going to go see Ghost in the Shell on Friday, so we can immediately record a review of it and put it out online so that they know whether they should spend their money on it or not. And I've done so much watching of the new stuff this last week, I'm really not looking forward to it, but maybe I'll be surprised. So, why should you watch the original again? It's already widely regarded as a work of art in the world of film and animation. You'll save money, and if my guesses are correct and the live-action version isn't good, perhaps we can vote with our wallets and send a message to Hollywood. Maybe they should make an original cyberpunk sci-fi movie instead of an adaptation. If you look to all the summer blockbusters from 2016, almost all of them were sequels or franchise films, and there weren't really any good blockbuster films. And if you want to watch Ghost in the Shell with me, I'll watch it again over and over. Just let me know. So thanks.